Welcome to a special edition of Our City. Elizabeth is a city that is steeped in history. The birthplace of New Jersey occurred here in the city of Elizabeth 350 years ago. Elizabeth grew to become a manufacturing powerhouse, a leader of innovation, and home to a wonderful, internationally diverse population and award-winning cuisine around every corner of our city. It all started here in Elizabeth. Elizabeth is celebrating 350 years of history by holding special events around the entire county this year. Today, we will touch on some of those celebrations that took place. And after these commercials, we'll be back to speak with Gordon Haas, the Executive Director of the Greater Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce.
Offering everything you could want from college, including a life. Kean University.
Welcome back to Our City, and I'm pleased to be joined by Gordon Haas, who is the President, CEO, Executive Director, Chief Cook, and Bottle Washer. Right, Gordon? You do everything.
Everything.
In the Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you.
But Gordon, before we go into some questions, I would like our viewers to see a clip of some of the things that you've been involved with during the 350th.
What? Gary, do you have your camera?
Welcome back to Our City. And Gordon, we just saw a clip of the battle on Elizabethtown on Elizabeth Avenue. Tell us the role that the Elizabeth Chamber of Commerce played in not only that, but some of the other things going around the 350th.
The Chamber became involved in the 350th Anniversary Committee about 2.5 years in planning all the events that took place here. We had a reenactment in March at the First Presbyterian Church, which was the founding site for the state of New Jersey and the city of Elizabeth. We did an athletic event inviting former athletes that graduated from Elizabeth schools, not necessarily the public schools, but all the Elizabeth schools. We did an event for them, welcoming them back to the city and allowing them to reminisce. We did a citywide block party in June in front of City Hall, a very diverse event, had 8 different groups entertaining during the course of the day, and free food, attracted quite a crowd that day. And then we did these reenactments. You saw the battle of the attack on Elizabeth, which is when the British marched up from, came across from Staten Island and tried to get up to Morristown, and were held up by pickets, by Minutemen here in Elizabeth, and then the Battle of Elizabethtown ensued, which led to the burning of the First Presbyterian Church. And we actually did have smoke coming out of the building that day. We had the city fire department provide us with smoke generators, so the building looked like it was on fire. Very nice day. It was well attended. That weekend we did 4 major events, and you'll see clips from those other events as we go on with this program. But it was a very exciting opportunity to learn the history of this city and to be involved in reenacting it. So that's what the Chamber
Gordon, tell
did.
us about the Chamber of Commerce and the reaction of the business community when we started to celebrate the 350th.
Well, the business community was very much involved. We had some active sponsors from the business community. We had some prime sponsors. We had Trinitas Hospital. We had Investors Savings Bank, Union County College stepped up and helped us get this off the ground. It was you know, when you start something like this, you don't realize how much it's going to cost. And the business community did come through with a lot of sponsorships, and we did raise the money, and we did promote this, and it was fun. It was an interesting thing. Somebody said to me after the reenactment event that you saw, what are we going to do next year? And I said, come back and see me in 50 years. It's something you do once every 50 years.
So you're not going to be here to plan the next?
I don't think so.
No, you should.
I really don't think. Yeah, you know, if God wants me to be here 50 years from now, I'll be here. But I don't think I'll be planning it.
So the march along Elizabeth Avenue attracted 400 or 500 people.
Yeah,
all the way up the walk.
And they walked along with. You know, this began at Union Square and went up to the church. And one of the things that was most remarkable was that there were no cars parked on the street. We had all the cars. We had put up signs to ask people to get the cars off the street because, as you saw the cannon in the video, we were afraid that that cannon might cause the alarms to go off. And it did happen when the battle took place here at Liberty Hall in the fields behind Liberty Hall. The reverberation of one of the cannon shots off the buildings at Kean University caused some of the cars in the parking lot to have their alarms go off. So that we were concerned about that, and thank God it didn't happen. But the crowd followed the battle as it walked its way up the street, and what is that, about a mile from Union Square to Liberty, to the First Presbyterian Church.
Now the burning of the church was interesting because in the Revolution they actually burned the church down.
They actually burned it, but you know, the insurance company told us we couldn't do that again.
Yeah, it's probably not a good thing.
Not a good thing.
But Reverend Higgs was out there, who was the pastor at the time, and he welcomed us as well as gave us a little history.
He told us we could burn it down, but we didn't listen.
But for those of our viewers who have never been there, it's also a cemetery attached to the church that houses many of the
First Presbyterian
victims
Church
of the
Cemetery actually has an app on the internet. It's called the FPC Cemetery app. If you go to Google or Android, it's there. And it has people buried there who signed the Declaration and the Constitution and fought in the Revolutionary War and the Civil War. And I always find that when I go into that cemetery that I understand why streets in Elizabeth have names, because the tombstones have those names. The people who lived here, many of the streets are named after them. The street I lived in, I see the name there.
Decker.
Decker, yeah, up there. Price, Decker. There's so many different streets. You know, these were the founders. These were the people.
Gordon, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show. We're going to see some more clips and some other guests. So please stay with us after this message, where I'm going to be joined by Mark Hurwitz of the 3rd New Jersey Regiment, Jersey Blues.
Why do we like it here? Let's just say the reasons are diverse. Kean University.
Welcome back to our city, where I'm joined by Mark Hurwitz of the 3rd New Jersey Regiment, Jersey Blues. Before we talk to Mark, first a clip of some of his efforts on the 350th.
Michael, Ernie, go around the side, push them out of there. Might get a little tight in here. Go! Move them out, Rangers, move them out.
Don't be slow, Rangers.
Fire! Second range.
Position here.
Whoa!
Welcome back, and I'm pleased to be joined by Mark Hurwitz. Mark, good to see you again. You were on the show a while ago. Now, you are dressed as Colonel Elias Dayton, who's from the city of Elizabeth. But more importantly, tell us about what we just saw.
You saw clips of the Brigade of the American Revolution, which my unit belongs to, reenact parts of the Battle of Springfield and the Battle of Connecticut Farms, which was the first day of the big 350th weekend back in October. And
Which was located in Elizabethtown back in the day.
That's right. Elizabethtown was all of Union County in the 18th century. A lot of people don't realize that. The crucial battles of 1780 took place in what is today Union County, and they were real turning points of the American Revolution. Battle of Connecticut Farms, followed by the climactic Battle of Springfield in June of 1780.
So, Mark, tell us about the reenactment experience to the real events. You had paved roads. It's a lot easier to drag those cannons up that road, but tell us about the...
Well, there's really no comparison. We are living historians doing reenactments of the 18th century. You don't have the lack of everything from personal hygiene to modern medicine, dealing with wood track roads and living in an environment with no central heating, no running water. It's an entirely different time period. But what it does make you appreciate is the fact that all of our ancestors who survived living in the 18th century were Iron Men or Iron Women. These people survived the most primitive conditions and went on to build here in North America the United States as we know it today.
But the reenactment of them shooting up close is real.
Absolutely. The technology of the period was the musket, flintlock musket, which had a range of approximately 100 yards. So they're fighting battles, and what we saw represented here is they're fighting battles at distances that we play football or soccer at. So it's something that we enjoy bringing to life for the public, because a lot of people just can't conceive of the linear tactics of the period, which were driven by the weapon system. And why would anybody in their right mind stand up in an open field and be shooting at one another? It's because the weapons were smooth bore, they were inaccurate, they were short ranged, and the only way you could get them to work was to mash your firepower by putting men in lines, having them fire in volleys, and get up close and then go in with the bayonet and end the battle with cold steel.
So what was coming out of those guns and cannons?
We're using black powder blanks, but it is black powder of similar consistency of what would have been used in the 18th century. You saw every time the guys fired, there was a lot of smoke, and smoke was a critical issue in 18th century tactics, because the more the guns went off, the more clouds would be produced and obscure vision. So there was a real fog of war. But we do it in a very, very safe and disciplined manner, so that everyone gets to go back to work on Monday morning. We have very, very strict safety regulations on the loading and firing, the weapons distance for both the artillery and the musketry, and the use of fixed bayonets and edged weapons can be used. For instance, we do not allow closing and simulated hand-to-hand combat, because it's just too dangerous.
That's a good thing. So tell the crowd, I mean, both in Springfield and Union and Elizabeth and Liberty Hall, a lot of people were out that weekend. What was your sense of the crowd?
It was tremendous, and we really enjoy working for the public. We love when the school kids are out, because this is what it's all about, teaching the next generation. There were excellent crowds at Springfield. Union, I think, topped all of the crowds, and they really had beaten the drums and gotten literally thousands of people out on the street. And Elizabeth also had hundreds and hundreds of people literally hanging out of apartment windows watching us come up, and then following us up that whole mile. They came up the sidewalks and followed the whole action right up to the First Presbyterian Church. It was very exciting, and the grounds of Liberty Hall at the climactic event on Sunday afternoon was well attended. It was just a very, very exciting weekend, and I think the crowds got so much out of it. We also enjoyed the fact that when the Americans took casualties, the crowd started booing the Crown forces, and when the Crown forces took casualties, they cheered like the home team was winning. So it was good to see everyone took it in the spirit that it was given, and I think it brought our heritage alive here in Union County and in Elizabeth.
Well, Mark, I want to thank you for being on the show, and I thank you for your commitment in helping us celebrate our 350th.
It was a very exciting event. Thank you for having us.
Please stay with us, because next up will be Bill Schroe, who is a Director of Museum Operations at Liberty Hall. Please stay with us.
We have some of the finest teachers in the country. And then they graduate. Kean University.
Welcome back to a special edition of Our City. And this part I'm joined by Mr. Bill Schroe, who's the Director of Museum Operations at Liberty Hall Museum, which is the home of New Jersey's first elected governor and a signer of the Constitution, William Livingston. Please watch this clip, and then we'll be joined by Bill.
Our first governor is this man right here, William Livingston.
He was governor for 14 years. Yes. Who's that? That is the Mr. King you met today.
I'm staging it.
Hey, Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Hey, what did the Liberty Hall do in the 350th? I saw some of the excitement on the lawn, but you're also involved in a lot of other issues.
We are involved in a lot of issues. But for the reenactment weekend, we were the host site. So the soldiers camped at Liberty Hall for the entire weekend of the reenactment.
Did they really sleep in those tents that I saw that day?
They slept in those tents.
They did?
Yes.
And they had that heat and stuff?
They had straw and sleeping, I said, blankets and pillows, and it was cold. But they hardly slept out there.
It was not the warmest October weekend.
No, it was not.
And so, did they change and shower or anything, or just they roughed it?
As far as I know, they roughed it. I mean, they might have used the bathrooms, and maybe clean up, but no, they were in those outfits all weekend.
Because when I was there, some of the enactors were having the battle, and then there were some women over there knitting and doing some other stuff.
They cooked.
Reading a book.
They reenacted the life of the camp followers as well as the soldiers, as you said, the women, the children running around, doing all of the activities that the camp followers would have done. They would have followed the soldiers during the Revolutionary War.
Now, in the 18th century, that home was part of Elizabethtown.
Correct.
So tell us about your role in making sure there's a historical appreciation for the residents of our city.
Sure. Well, as you mentioned earlier, Liberty Hall was the home of our first governor, William Livingston, and Liberty Hall was part of Elizabethtown. And what we do is, as part of the mission of Liberty Hall, we tell about our Revolutionary War history and what an important role the Livingston family played in that early Revolutionary history.
How did you get involved, Bill?
I worked in museums my entire life, and I was looking for a change of career. Saw an ad in the newspaper for this brand new museum opening up at this place called Liberty Hall. Applied, and I've been there ever since.
So where are you from?
I'm from Westchester County. I grew up in Ossining, New York.
Okay, so you came here to New Jersey. You're a transplant.
I'm a transplant. I knew nothing about New Jersey whatsoever. And now, 15 years later, I feel like I'm in New Jersey.
So tell us about some of the programming going on over there, the reenactment camps. You talked about them, but also there were tea and there was a play and a battle. And tell us about that.
Well, for the entire 350th year, Liberty Hall had activities. The first one started in June, where we had a Boy Scout reenactment. The Boy Scouts marched the entire battle route of the soldiers for the Battle of Springfield, from Elizabethport all the way up, and then all the kids that made it got a medal that's specially striped for this event.
Did some kids not make it?
You know what? I don't know. I'm sure they all made it. I mean, they heartily marched that walk. And then we've had afternoon teas, Revolutionary War teas, talk about the whole idea of how tea was important during the Revolutionary War and how it kind of caused like the Boston Tea Party. And we have, our own New Jersey Tea Party. And then we had, in October, we had the Revolutionary War reenactment, as you mentioned. We also had a play called at Liberty Hall, all about Alexander Hamilton and his early years, his early time in New Jersey when he first came to the United States.
Now Bill, the community, I was at the play, I was there on that Sunday afternoon. I'm just one person, but there were a lot of people going in and out. What is your feedback from the folks who went there as far as the reenactment, the play, the tea? What are their thoughts?
Well, I think we did a great job telling people about the 350th, about the history of New Jersey, and I think people really enjoyed, and they'll come back. They want to kind of learn more about their own history. They don't realize what an important role this area played in the founding of New Jersey, and I think this whole year, including the culmination in October, really spurred their interest.
Now, you've been here a few years, you said earlier, but what was your learning curve, Bill, coming to New Jersey and learning about the Livingston family? And how much did you remember from your childhood history, and how much did you learn?
I'd learned everything about New Jersey. I said, I'm a born and bred New Yorker. I knew no problem about New York, but New Jersey, it was that place across the George Washington Bridge. It was that place where the airport was. But now with, as I said, I love Ben Franklin's quote that I use all the time is, he described New Jersey as a powder keg tapped at both ends. We're trapped between New Jersey and Philadelphia, and we need to get that history out there. And that's one of the goals of Liberty Hall, is to get people to realize what an incredible, rich history New Jersey has.
You got any events coming up?
We do. It's Christmas time at Liberty Hall. So we have all of our Christmas activities. We have our gingerbread house making workshops, our breakfast with Santa. We do a lunch with the Grinch, how the Grinch stole lunch. And then we'll roll into January with our very popular Downton Abbey.
And where can people find
everything can be found on the website.
Which is?
It's kane.edu/Liberty Hall.
Thank you for joining us, Bill.
Thank you.
Please stay with us after these messages. I'll be back with John Wooten talking about the play that Bill just mentioned.
Sometimes you learn by helping others learn. Kane University.
Welcome back to our city, and for this segment, I'm joined by John Wooten, who is a producing artistic director of Premier Stages, which is a professional equity theater at Kane University. But first, this clip.
It's been 242 years since Alexander Hamilton last set foot at Liberty Hall. It's the 10th anniversary of Premier Stages. It's also the 350th anniversary of not only New Jersey, but Elizabeth.
For myself, my only apprehension about New Jersey is about my own station. I find myself surrounded by those of a higher class, most of whom do not seem to know the details of my past.
Hamilton knew that to be a real player, we had to stay together.
It's a short journey to King's College, and I should like any excuse to go back to New York.
Then I will apply.
And you'll be accepted. I demand it.
Whatever happens to you in school with the rivals you may have, or the people talking down to you, just know that you have respect.
History is right now. These people who lived before us, even the ones who might not be famous, they made us who we are. So when we let ourselves get close to them, we're learning about ourselves.
Our cast and our crew and our company and our supporters, Premier Stages is a very unique thing, and it wouldn't be possible without all of you too. So thank you very much. And come to the next one.
Welcome back to our city. And John, thanks for joining us. You were on the show once before. We talked about this play, but tell us, how did Premier Stages participate in Elizabeth and New Jersey's 350th?
Sure. Well, the play that we just saw a little bit of a clip took about 2 years to develop. We partnered with the Liberty Hall Museum specifically to write a play that celebrates the 350th anniversary of New Jersey, but also we wanted to do something that would celebrate Elizabeth. So this play takes place here at Liberty Hall, at the museum, and explores Alexander Hamilton's first visit to New Jersey when he was here. Had just come from the island, was kind of finding his way, was an immigrant, so it kind of parallels the life with another immigrant, a modern day immigrant, and they communicate to each other through a desk, through a portal. And it was actually a great experience because it not only was a really successful play, but it also taught a lot of students and a lot of people about the museum, about New Jersey history, about our forefathers. So was a great event all the way around.
And John, I was at the play one night with the president of the university, Dr. Dawood Farahi, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the play that you staged, The Origins, where did the idea come from?
Sure. Premier Stages developed a series of historical plays in the past. We've been here about 10 years at Kean University, and we talked with Bill, we talked with some of the people that collaborate with us quite a bit, and said, how can we kind of establish something that always celebrates New Jersey history and the unique contributions that New Jersey's had to America through history. So we developed this project called Liberty Live. So every 2 years, we commission a new play, a brand new play. We work with a New Jersey playwright. Over 2 years, we start with a reading of the play, and then a year later, we do a stage reading of the play, and we bring an audience in. We have a discussion afterwards, and then the playwright participates in questions and answer sessions at each of these readings, continues to work on it, and then at the end of that 2 years, it culminates with a full production of the play. So it happens over a 2-year process, from basically the idea of what the play will be to the full production that you
So tell us
saw.
some of those other historical projects you've done.
Sure. We did a play called Duck Crossing, which took place with George Washington crossing the Delaware River, and what happened if he got stuck on the ice, because the troops that went upstream of Washington's company and downstream both got stuck in the ice, and he barely got across. So the play kind of explores what would happen if he too had gotten stuck. It's kind of a what-if play. What happens if he would have gotten stuck in the ice as well? We also did a play called Madison, about President Madison and his life, and we partnered with the Liberty Hall Museum for both of those projects as well.
Were they both staged at Liberty Hall?
No, actually we did, I think we did a reading. The first show that we ever completely staged at Liberty Hall was what you saw, the at Liberty Hall production. We did a play called Talking to Westfield, about Westfield history, that was originally supposed to be produced at the museum, but we had the hurricane. And so the weekend that the play was supposed to happen is the week that the hurricane blew in. So we ended up doing a production over at the Little Theater. So what was so great about this is that the first production that we could do with Liberty Hall actually was about Liberty Hall. So it was actually the perfect play to kind of launch that physical partnership with the Liberty Hall Museum.
And what kind of upcoming programs do you have the plan for the next 2 years? Do you know what you're doing, what you're trying to develop, or it's still in the learning process?
Everything that we do is, for the most part, brand new plays. So we do a festival every year of new plays. So we're just in the process now of taking in submissions, reviewing plays that are sent to us. We get about 400 plays a year. But I was just talking to Bill while we were waiting, and we're already starting to explore ideas for what's going to be the next incarnation of the Liberty Live project. Some of the things that we're considering, it's 2015 is the 150th anniversary of the Civil War. We're looking at some other ideas. What we usually do is we partner with specific townships. We build collaboration partnerships not only with organizations but with funding entities to help pay for it. So right now it's kind of wide open, but the hope is that over the next 50 years is that we'll target every 2 years another part of New Jersey, and every 2 years present that story. So far we have Westfield, Elizabeth. Who knows what the next 50 will be? But that's the hope is that we'll have a little dot everywhere on the map.
All right. John, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the show, and I enjoyed that play tremendously. Look forward to another one.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
So for Mr. John Wooten, Mr. Bill Schroe, Mr. Mark Hurwitz, and Mr. Gordon Haas, I'm Chris Bolwage on a special edition of Our City, celebrating the 350 years of the City of Elizabeth and the State of New Jersey. We'll see you again on another edition of Our City.